Speaking of stories, about 10 people sent me the story of the 16-year-old kid that helped steal 1,000 Camaros with a home-built wireless hacking device in Los Angeles.
What?
And then was selling these Camaros at street takeovers for like $3,000. Today's topic comes from Zach. Zach, you suggested this one.
It was on our list.
But you pulled it off the list.
I did.
You did.
I did.
Moonshots that missed.
Yeah.
Times that car companies tried to do something amazing and fucked it all up. What's up, folks? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. As always, today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record because they represent you, the people, the drivers. Off the Record is a service that connects you, qualified human motorist, with an attorney in a jurisdiction where you might need one. Did you get pulled over near your home? How about away from your home? How about in a state you only go to once a year or never again? Get pulled over, get a ticket in a place you don't want to be in, get a ticket anywhere. You need Off the Record. They will fight that ticket to the best of their ability to get those points off your record, saving you money on both the ticket, the penalties and fines, the insurance adjustment that will happen later, and generally making your life easier and less stressful. Don't plead guilty. Call Off the Record. I have used them multiple times in my career, and my driving record is clean as a whistle. Why are whistles so clean? I have to look up later why whistles. Yeah, the inside of a whistle is probably full of bacteria, actually. I would say my driving record is cleaner than your average whistle. We're going to come back to you on whistles. But offtherecord.com/TST, if you want to use the web browser, that'll get you 10% off all services with Off the Record. Or download the Off the Record app. Have it handy on your phone. Use code TSTPOD, TSTPOD, on that Off the Record app. Again, offtherecord.com/TST or code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app. Don't plead guilty, get Off the Record. All right, kids, today we're talking about moonshots that missed. That's right, when a car company really went for it and then had a big old brickski. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different ones of these throughout history, and Zach and I have two great top 5 lists to compare. Plus, I went to the doctor for the first time in a year and checked up on my health, learned a bunch of things. I'm driving the Mercedes SL43, which is a very strange car. And we've learned it's actually quite easy for teenagers to steal Camaros. Let's talk about cars on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Yesterday, I went to Playa del Rey for the place that used to be Triple and is now like a healthy Mexican place.
Oh, okay.
And I got an iced coffee along with my Cobb salad, and I'm guessing it wasn't iced coffee. It was like nitro cold brew or something, because I drank 12 ounces of it and combined with my...
It was on ice?
Yes, okay. It was on ice. Combined with my panicked rage from yesterday, my pre-training cardio on my elliptical, which has the heart rate, my heart rate was at 160.
Whoa. Wait, what is it normally at when you work out?
When I work out?
Yeah, when you're on
When
elliptical.
I'm doing cardio, middle 130s.
That's quite a jump.
It's quite a jump.
Oh my God.
Quite a jump. In fact, I was complimented, because I had my physical yesterday, I was complimented by my doctor at my resting heart rate.
Nice.
Which was 48.
Dude, that's low.
Low.
Yeah.
Yeah. My rest, he's like, your fucking heart is nice right now. And I was like, well, all right.
You do a lot of cardio, yeah.
Do a lot of cardio. And, but 160 for 3 minutes. This was the end of my 30 minutes of cardio before my trainer. And during my trainer, I was dying. I was so sweaty, and it was not hot. And then last night, I went to bed at 10, and I stared at the ceiling until 12:30, until I ultimately took 5 milligrams of Ambien to go to bed.
I think that was cold brew they gave you,
I think it was fucking nitro. Whatever was in that shit, I'm never having it again. It was, and that was at 1 p.m. at fucking midnight.
The half-life on caffeine, it takes a while.
This is why I drink the half calf in the morning, That has been such a fucking good idea. I have at home, I get 2 bags of decaf from, what's that brand I like? Counterculture. 2 bags of the decaf and then 1 bag of Ethiopian from the same brand. And I mix it. So I have a fucking Tupperware of 1/3 caffeine coffee.
Yeah, it's great.
So I could have 2 cups of coffee, and even that is only 2/3 of 1 cup of caffeine. And that's fucking nice. I don't need that kind of energy in the morning. I just like the ritual. Also, at my physical, first time on a scale in a year, minus 32 pounds.
Whoa.
So
Congratulations.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty happy about that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, pretty happy about that. I think
In a year, wow.
I think I actually lost most of the weight in the first 5 months,
Well, it
and then
decelerates,
just maintained. I've been pretty stagnant for a while, but I had gained 36 pounds between 2020 and 2023. And I lost basically all of it in 2023. And
You undid the COVID stuff.
Undid all of it. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, that's great. People comment about it all the time. Like your face looks way slimmer.
It's really a fucking challenge. It's very, very hard. And I had so much anxiety about getting on the scale because I had just come back from Spain, and I eat great when I'm here, when I have my kitchen, even when I go to restaurants, at a menu level or a grocery store level, I have great self-control. But on these press trips, you know, where I'm in airport lounges or eating on airplanes or these group dinners where it's all family style and they're just passing shit around and it's open bar, I really don't even try. I mean, I'm far from home. I'm lonely. You know, this great food in this foreign country is in front of me. Like, I'm soothing with that shit. And I wanted like a good week of clean eating before the physical, and I only had like 2 days. So I fucking like went full vegetarian for 2 days and like did like 60 minutes of cardio plus just crushing into the gym for like 2 days. And so I was so anxious about being weighed. They took my blood pressure first, and my blood pressure was like 148/90, which is really nervous. I was so stressed out. And then I go, after I got on the scale, and I saw 265, which at March 2020, I was 297. So now,
wow.
That's where the panic,
that.
When you start knocking on the door of something starting with a 3, that's when the panic fucking sets in. So that's why I quit drinking that day and all that shit. I was like fucking instant depression, quit everything.
I couldn't guess a man's weight if you paid me $1 million or threatened to shoot me.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like 6'3" like you are. I have no idea.
Most people who guess my weight, and I'm not talking about assholes that are fat on the internet. Most people who guess my weight guess 20 to 30 pounds low.
Okay.
So like I hide it pretty well.
Right.
But like when after I got on the scale and I saw 265, which is about what I had hoped it would be, my wedding weight was 263. Which is pretty good. I worked pretty hard to get to that. My adult low is like 255. That's the lowest I ever was.
When you had the mutton chops when I met you?
No, when you first met me,
09,
I was it was that, and then I hit that again September 2020, the week we opened this place. That was the adult. From there, second we opened this business, fucking done. Out the door, and it started going up from there.
Okay.
Because of stress and ordering delivery food and all kinds of shit. But then they did my blood pressure again after the weight, and it was 15 points lower.
Yeah, because you were chilling.
Yeah, because I was like not having a panic attack about it. Yeah.
Don't they sometimes take it twice because the second time people are relaxed?
Dude, they took it 4 times.
Oh, okay.
They took it every time I've had I take blood pressure medication because it's always high because I have crazy anxiety, and every time they take it multiple times. Every single fucking time.
Because you're looking for an average.
Yeah, I don't think it's that good of a science, honestly. They're trying different cuffs. Am I the big cuff or the small cuff? And I don't know. I'm like, how do you guys pick which reading you're going to fucking
Well, now
use?
it's just the robot where it inflates and lets go and then come back.
Yeah. Beep. And it's like, it's apparently connected to something because the doctor read it from the other room.
Your resting heart rate's way below mine.
My
'cause I didn't
EKG
do
was
cardio
dope.
for a long time.
My
so.
my EKG was awesome, and so I don't have my blood work back yet, so I don't know what the cholesterol change is, but yeah, minus 32 and minus 3 inches on my waist for the year, and I went
That's
from
fantastic.
a 2XL to an XL in a lot of clothes. So there's that.
That's
good.
good. That's a win.
That's hard. Yeah, it's a win. That's a win. I just need to fucking keep doing it, which most of the time not actually that hard.
Press strips are hard, and a lot of, actually press strips in general. In Europe especially, I find protein is hard to find.
Yeah.
It's just, the breakfasts are like, here's all the different breads from the region, and you go, and here's one egg.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get that balance.
Yeah, I mean, the press strips, it's not even about the eating when you're there. It's to get there. It's 30 hours of constant travel. So like, it's not like you're eating a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. You're just eating various levels of garbage throughout the, even in business class, which is like the best it can be for most people. Like it's where the food isn't like horrible. Even like KLM or Air France or like Lufthansa, where the food is like kind of decent. It's not like healthy. And you're not eating it at the right time and the right way and whatever. But that shit is so hard.
And then they come by with the bread.
I actually think in Spain, despite the fact that I did have jamon for every single meal, I think I actually did pretty good in Spain. I worked out twice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Working out twice on a press trip is
Yeah,
hard.
forcing myself to work out on press trips, that was a really tough one. Yeah. Anyway, so that was that.
I remember on the Lotus Electre launch, a bunch of the press folks went for a jog in the morning because we were in this amazing woodsy area.
Yeah.
And one of the press people who lives in the UK came back from that jog destroyed because the tallest hill near them is like 100 feet.
Oh yeah.
And it was
like a
Norwegian
mountain
forest
jog.
Yeah, and they were really spent for the day.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's and my doctor ended up saying, a year ago I would have thought, your weight might kill you. He's like, now I know your anxiety will kill you. It's not going to be the weight. You got to chill the fuck out, bro, because you're stressing about a win now.
I'm going to show you caffeine half-life. And that way,
oh, do you have it?
That way you know
5 hours. So how does this work? Oh, there. I mean, dude, by your chart, peak 30 to 60 minutes, half-life 3 to 6 hours, fully metabolized 10 hours. Whatever I was drinking was still cruising.
Maybe this is for 1 cup, whereas you had 3.
Well, it's got to be just general, and maybe I just had a shitload of it. I don't know.
Well, but I think this is a weird chart, because if you had more of it, like how can your body process 400 milligrams in the same amount of time? It would process 90. Here.
Oh, so
this is 50 milligrams. If you drink a cup of coffee with 100 milligrams at 8 a.m.
Yeah, so if I had 400 milligrams at noon.
Yeah.
So it's not, so it's longer.
The dosage is
dosage is important. Right. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but this Mercedes that I'm driving, the SL43, which I'd like you to drive it home. Maybe today or tomorrow, whatever, don't care. It's just so weird. It's just such a strange car because it's got this hot hatch fucking powertrain in it, which is just unavoidable, and everything else about it is like luxury.
Well, it
GT.
idles like a WRC car.
Yeah, so weird.
It's strange. I haven't even sat in it when it was on yet or at all. So I'll drive it home tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you should take it for the weekend.
Just bring my car here to swap.
Yeah, take it for the whole weekend, and then you can give us your thoughts next week. Did you finish Drive to Survive?
Yeah,
I finished it last night. I thought it was a better season. I thought this season was better than last season.
I agree.
The changes were good. Plus some new drivers, right? Some new faces to meet.
Liam Lawson.
Yeah, the last couple seasons there was the same group of drivers. Without having like actual new faces in, it doesn't add any excitement. The best thing about that show for me was being introduced to new drivers that I didn't really know or care about otherwise.
Right. Well, the show did a great job in the beginning of the seasons of making you care about people besides Max. And I should say this: if you are a casual fan or a non-fan of F1, all you heard about was Max, Lewis, maybe Bottas, and then
the
this
podium.
is like here's 17 other people.
Yeah.
Right. So that was really good.
I never cared about the battle for 6th.
Or realize how important it was
Yeah.
and how much struggle there was. I did realize that by episode 8, I've done this every season. I start making fun of the show while watching the show because before they start a race, they got to ask the principal, the driver, an engineer, what does this race mean to you? And
Yeah.
all of them say, we really think we can win. And they'll ask that question 6 times before they get to the moment, just to draw the show out. And I just start talking to the TV. I go, oh, do you want to win the championship too? Are you also trying to win? I'm talking to Sarah. I'm like, this person's also trying to win the races
Yeah.
and the championship. So it gets a little bit like drawn out. By
Sure.
episode 8, everyone who's watched up to that point understands everyone's trying to win the automobile race. So that was a little funny. But it was. I agree. The season hooked me more. I thought it was produced well, and they did an interesting job. They showed Max in episode 1, I think.
Yeah.
They interviewed him for like 4 seconds, and basically never showed him again because they realized that people who watch the races have seen enough of Max winning.
Yeah, and I think he also doesn't like participating in it very much.
I think that's true. That's why I was surprised to see.
I remember in an
episode 1.
earlier season, he was like, I don't
Never
like
in
how
it.
this show makes me look. And
Yeah.
I'm just winning, so I don't need it.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It was weird. I was surprised they got him in the booth at all.
Yeah.
But then then there was so little that came out of that.
Yeah. But at the last episode, in which this is not at all a spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, the number of times that they say Las Vegas in the first 10 minutes of this episode, I almost went back and counted. It's every 5 to 8 seconds somebody says Las Vegas for the first 10 minutes of this fucking show. I'm like, after a while, I was screaming at the TV, probably because of the caffeine. I was like, we fucking know it's Vegas. We know we're in Vegas. Shut the fuck up.
That's why I loved Fred Vassar, the principal from Ferrari.
Yeah.
After Sainz runs over this
that
rate,
is the greatest interview
damages
of
the
all
monocoque,
time.
and they get all the principals on this stage.
Oh, and this fluff
and this
reporter
reporter keeps saying like, and Fred is going, I have to spend $3 million, and we just got penalized unfairly, in my opinion, to get moved back 10 places because they didn't weld down a fucking storm grate.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, but what does it mean to you to be racing in Las Vegas? And Fred doesn't give a fuck because he's French,
and you
he's
can
just
see
like,
Toto on the side just going.
and then Toto tells the reporter, he's like, you're getting yourself in trouble. Like, I'm just telling you right now, I know Fred long time, you're just digging a ditch. And he keeps going because the reporter's like, I have to ask how much Vegas means to everybody. God, Fred just... that was one of the best moments of the show.
Yeah, that guy. I can't leave this fucking guy alone.
He literally said, "Can I go now?
Yeah.
I have to go fix a race car."
That was crazy. That was so fucking funny, man. That guy. I like him. I like Fred.
Me too.
Fred's all right.
Yeah.
I really like the guy who was there before Fred, who's now just fucking in the.
Oh, Matis?
Yeah, now he's just making wine, chilling. That guy. I mean, that's where we all want to end up. I think. Just fucking convincing Gunther to get the fuck out of there. You know, I like all.
I mean,
that.
Gunther was kind of like, "So is this what you do after work? Oh, this is pretty good."
He's like, yeah, this is cool. I think maybe I'll just do
How
this.
much do these vineyards cost? I can't switch to him after Toto.
I think I'll just do this.
Yeah, it seemed pretty good.
Yeah. So I did think it was a better season. So if you haven't watched it yet and maybe you got kind of tired of previous seasons, I might give it another go.
It's a nice way to watch the race season again because it focuses on, I don't know, it's just deeper stories, which is cool.
Yeah. Speaking of stories, about 10 people sent me the story of the 16-year-old kid that helped steal 1,000 Camaros with a home-built wireless hacking device in Los Angeles.
What?
And then was selling these Camaros at street takeovers for like $3,000. Folks, got to take one quick break for lunch. It's Factor. They're sponsoring today's episode, and they're making it better to eat better. Right? Their delicious, ready-to-eat meals are always fresh and never frozen. They're chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes in that nuclear device you have in your kitchen. You've got over 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. There's more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and get after your goals. Whether it's pancakes, smoothies, and more, they've got breakfast, they've got midday bites, and they've got lunches and dinners. The meals are no prep and no mess. They're ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Factor is super flexible. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries to work around your travel schedule or your family schedule. Whatever you got, sign up and save. The math has been done. Factor is cheaper than takeout. Sign up and save. We've done the math. Factor is cheaper than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. So head to factormeals.com/tire50. That's factormeals.com/tire50 and use code tire50 to get 50% off. That's code tire50 at factormeals.com/tire50 to get 50% off. Don't forget that 50 is the number. It's not written out. Factormeals.com/tire50, right? Factormeals.com/tire50. You got it? Good. Now back to the show.
This kid is a genius.
Yeah. He bought or made some type of General Motors key cloning device. And it was in the LA Times, if you see the story.
Oh, okay.
Teens, it was like teens steal 1,000+ Camaros. And yeah, just stole all of the Camaros.
Oh, Chevy skyrockets. The theft rose 1,000%.
Oh, it was 1,000%?
Yeah.
How many Camaros? Yeah. Oh, 1,000% in LA. So it says later, I'm sorry, I wrote it down wrong. How many Camaros were stolen? Thefts have shot up by over 1,000%, and keep going. The device, essentially a handheld computer that enables the user to create a replacement smart key using a new key fob, can unlock Camaros and other vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. And he was
wow.
A 16-year-old suspect used the device to create cloned keys and steal muscle cars. The young person was taking them to street takeovers and then selling them for $2,000 to $3,000 on social media.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, his profit margin was very high, but I feel like he could have raised the prices a little.
Sorry, there were 90 Camaros stolen citywide in the first 2 months of the year.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot of Camaros. I'm sorry I said 1,000. That is fake news. That is wrong. Please accept my correction.
This is like John Connor.
But
like he makes the computer and then he hacks into it.
A kid stealing 90 Camaros in LA. Yeah. So,
it would be really cool to talk to like automotive security expert, because there's all. Did you see the stories about people stealing Range Rovers in the UK? They found out they're really easy to steal.
Really?
They would basically make a wire antenna, and these folks would walk at 3 a.m. They would walk between the car and the person's home if it was a relatively small distance, and it was able to.
Because the car will talk to the key the entire time.
The key for wireless entry, so it would just pick that up, bounce it to the car, and then they were able to start the car and drive away.
That's crazy.
And it was pretty prevalent out there. So I wonder how hard it is to like make these creature comforts, but also make them secure.
Well, so I mean, things people can do at home is if you have a key with a car that has a passive entry feature, don't keep your fucking keys anywhere near your front door.
I think you Faraday cage it too.
Well, but you can buy a Faraday cage, which is just a box that you keep your key in that prevents signals from getting in or out. But also, at the very least, like so many people like leave their keys next to their front door.
Very true.
Don't do that.
Very true.
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
Yeah.
This kid was just stealing. He was stealing cars, and then he'd go to a car meet and be like, "Who wants to buy a car for $3,000?"
Yeah. Just fucking go to a takeover, like rip some burnouts. Rip some donuts, run over a pedestrian.
Arrive and drive. He was team principal for street takeovers.
He was arriving.
That's what he was doing. He was selling seats, essentially, because people there, they might have some cash, but they don't have a ton. They don't want to drive it for a week.
No.
They're going to get pinched.
You want to fucking do some donuts, run over a few people, get social media famous, and then leave that motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I've heard
protect
of
your
a
keys, people.
legal takeover location, sort of. There's a parking lot.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a parking lot down near the Hawthorne Airport, like at the far end of it, where on Sundays they host, people pay, like you can drift and do donuts in one area, and then they do kart practice in another lot.
Oh, so it's just like a skid pad.
It's like a skid pad, but this is what we've hoped would be in LA somewhere.
This is a takeover track day?
That's what we need.
What's the name of the? Do we know how to find it?
I found it on Google Earth after Sarah's coworker said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing?" Because he takes his kid there to do karting on one side.
Oh,
so I want to go down there and do some donies.
Is it a kart track, or they set up like a kart autocross in a parking lot?
Kart autocross.
Oh,
yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
How crazy!
But because the takeover thing is,
I
thought it had peaked 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Wrong. Thad sent me a video. They were down at like the Beverly Center, like at 5 p.m. One of the busiest intersections in Los Angeles, so and they were just swinging around. It's
That's
insane.
so crazy.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I guess I can understand the appeal, kind of. It's like the same. It's like it's street racing, but without the racing.
Right.
It's that.
Yeah.
But like, Jesus, there's a lot of better ways to do it.
If you're 17 and you think you're invincible.
Yeah. Remember what's his fucking name? The shitbag kid with the RSQ8. It's a whole bunch of those guys, but not rich.
Yeah, it's the same mentality. Just car, get too hyped up, and you just defiance of the law and the system and all that stuff. Totally.
Yeah.
It's a mosh pit for cars. So that's a demo derby, I guess.
Yeah, it is a demo derby, but it's like it's
Similar.
pretty. It's the same vibe. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's what I have on my list for today. Anything else we need to cover? We go to our main topic of the day.
Main topic.
Yeah, I guess that's about right. Today's topic comes from Zach. Zach, you suggested this one.
It was on our list.
But you pulled it off the list.
I did.
You did.
I did.
Moonshots that missed.
Yeah.
Times that car companies tried to do something amazing and fucked it all up. Yeah.
I like it. This was a fun one to research.
Yeah. All of the cars on my list are like expensive.
Okay.
They're all like...
I have 2 expensive cars, but not crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And then I have, some weird ones.
Mine are not that weird. I think mine... I think almost everybody will go, oh, yeah, actually.
Oh, I think that, yeah. I think I'll be surprised if we don't have at least one crossover between us.
I'm gonna predict that our crossover will be number 2 on my list.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
All right. Mine are not in order of...
No, mine are not in order of importance, but it's just I make lists and I put numbers.
I think my number 1 will be our crossover.
Okay. What is it?
Chrysler turbine car.
Oh, no, not even on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, they made this in 1963. They made 55 of them. In the 30s. They
made that many?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought there was like 10.
They made 5 prototypes.
Yeah.
50 were for like the public experiment, and then only 9 are left. They crushed the rest of them.
Oh, that's why.
So in the 30s, they started researching turbines. Then a war happened. And then after that, they were like, well, what do we do with these turbine engines? And I started reading more. The idea was so funny. They realized that they could run these things on...
anything.
Heating oil, diesel, gas.
Yeah.
But one of the problems was they said not to run it on leaded gasoline. You could, but it would create some sort of problematic deposit. At the time, that was the most common type of gasoline. So that's not great for the consumer.
Right.
But they were reliable. They were also super loud.
I thought you were going to say insta-cancer.
No, yeah, maybe that, but back then we didn't know. You could smoke cigarettes like in a school.
Yeah. And should.
They did. It stimulates the mind. Yeah. They were slow. They were complicated to start up. The fuel economy was bad. They were loud. And as Jay Leno has talked about, they would melt cars that were too close behind you or human beings. Yeah. So slightly problematic. They tried it out for like a year, or actually like 5 years. They let people drive them. But ultimately, if you can run it on anything except the gas that you can get everywhere around your town. Yeah. Please don't run it on that.
It's probably a good cross sub-Saharan Africa vibe. Right?
Maybe.
Just fucking whatever. Although,
But the MPG was bad. So that was the weird thing. It was one of those engines where you go, well, one of my other cars, Tahoe Hybrid. Everyone reviewed it and they went, just put a diesel in this thing. That's just, if you did that, you'd get the mileage per gallon you're hoping for without the weight hit. Yeah. So
I actually think that the Tahoe Hybrid and the Escalade Hybrid were a little ahead of their time.
I agree.
I think if you were to bring those products out today,
of course,
particularly paired with the diesel engine, it could be a potentially successful product.
I think at the time we didn't have the energy density.
Yeah.
So you got much better city fuel economy. It was like 19, which is way better than 12.
I don't really think they had EV only range at all. I think it was a Prius. It was a Prius like hybrid.
No, correct. It was a parallel.
Yeah.
But the highway mileage was an improvement of 1.
Yeah,
and it weighed, and it cost $5,000 more to start than the nicest Tahoe.
Yeah.
So that was another failure I had.
Yep. Be sure to check out my video from back in the day, Bear Attack with the Escalade Hybrid, which is where we played. We tricked everybody. We baited everybody into thinking Alex Roy had been eaten by a bear in order to get them to watch my Escalade Hybrid video. And I think it has like 9 million views.
Hey, good trick. What's the retention? Is it 12 seconds?
It was horrible. Yeah, horrible. And is by far the most thumbs down of any video we've ever made. My number one is the C7 Corvette Z06, which is not an objectively terrible car, but in order to get a huge power number, a big acceleration number, they went with a supercharged engine, but they didn't give it enough cooling, and these things would overheat on track in like 2-3 laps. The ZR1 later fixed that by having all this extra venting and a bigger supercharger that was spun slower, a bigger displacement supercharger, which created that very tall hood and was compromised in its own ways. But in order to achieve certain magazine cover metrics, the Z06 abandoned its track day worthiness mission and really just became a fast highway drag car. And so I think by going for those numbers, they abandoned the thing that the car really should have been good at, which is fucking finishing a basic track day session.
Yeah, this was a big...
I think there was class action suits about this.
They gave them an extended
warranty. Yeah.
Overheating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
overheat while being driven hard on the track.
Yeah, they did not have enough cooling for the supercharged engine, and they overheated, which I experienced when I drove the car.
You know who just bought one of these? Will Schultz, our former editor for our eBay series.
I mean, there's stuff that you can do in the aftermarket that will help.
Yeah, and I hope he does, because these were cool.
Yeah,
and the supercharged thing's fun, but yeah, when these came out, you went, wait, the Corvette is mostly a reliable performance machine that can kind of do track work.
And the Z06 should be focused on that.
Which it was in the C6.
It was, yeah.
That's what it was. And then they went for power.
Yeah, big mistake.
Do you think they created the ZR1...
as an apology? Yeah.
Well, and also to like separate those camps of like, all right, Z06 will be the handling track one, ZR1 will be the crazy supercharged one?
Well, I mean, the ZR1 became both the fix for the problems because the ZR1 doesn't have those cooling issues. It has a bigger intakes in the front nose. It has the higher vented hood, and it has the supercharger that generates less heat because it doesn't spin up as high. And it's also the sort of last hurrah for the front engine car, so they made it like extra ridiculous.
The intakes on the ZR1 compared to the Z06 is wild.
Huge difference.
Yeah, huge.
And a lot of people who actually want to track Z06 will put ZR1 bumpers and shit on them for that reason. So yeah, C7 Z06.
Great selection.
Yeah.
I like that. Shelby Series 1.
Oh, yeah. You got to drive one, actually.
I got to drive Bo Bachman's for a video we shot for the Autopian. So go watch that. We put a lot of time and days into that video. But I learned about the mess that was that car.
That's a car where I would see them for sale, and I would go, huh. Oh, that's a cool thing. Maybe a little more interesting than a Viper.
Yeah.
A little more interesting than a Corvette, but still that kind of American vibe, but like not good to drive.
Stuff. Well, what's weird is it actually handles fantastic because it has double wishbones and it's front mid-engine. It has inboard suspension. Like it has the cool race car engineering that you kind of hope for, but
like a Panos.
Yeah. But the pedals are offset all weird, like a Viper, or actually more like a Cobra. So the pedal box is uncomfortable. But the biggest problem was when they were making these, they had so many problems with the carbon Kevlar body. It was porous, and the paint was like falling into the pores. So they covered it with Bondo. So when they were done, the car was supposed to weigh 2,700 pounds, and they were like 3,400 pounds.
Oh, that's a lot of Bondo.
So there was that. The engines that Oldsmobile gave them were detuned, and they wouldn't give them the tuning software. So the engine made 30 or 40 fewer horsepower than they were supposed to. And then if you wanted to add a supercharger, it was $20,000. So if you got the fastest one, by the time they also went on sale, they increased the price to make up the difference.
Of course,
these were more expensive than a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's not
and it's
good.
from a company. It was just they had manufacturing problems, finance problems, power problems, all that shit.
Yeah,
which sucked because it drove well. And then when the when they were given to journalists, subframes were cracking. They also had transmission problems. So they hit every rung on the ladder as it fell, which sucks.
Because it could have been cool.
Really cool.
So was
really
Bose
cool.
supercharged?
Yeah.
So was it ultimately nice to drive?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I took it in a canyon. In the corners, I was like, this is great. And the steering feedback's good.
Oh,
it
interesting.
felt kind of heavy.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a very good driving machine.
I wonder what happened to the body molds if you could actually remake the bodies in carbon fiber today and get to where that car should be.
It would be a screamer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had
Shelby probably has the body mold still.
Probably, yeah. If someone wanted to spend a bunch of money and
make a new body,
it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good call. That's a good one. I did not think of that one, but that is a good one. Here's the one I thought would be overlapped. 2012 to 14 Shelby GT500.
Oh, I don't have that.
That one, very similar to the Corvette. Carroll Shelby wanted a 0 to 60 time of under 4 seconds. Carroll Shelby wanted a top speed of over 200 miles an hour on a Mustang with his name on it before he died. And in order to hit those targets, they took the GT500, which in 2011 was an amazing car, and they fucked it all up. They put in this engine with a shitload of power. It had 110 more horsepower than the year before, but they lengthened the gears so that it could do 0 to 60 in first gear, which made it worse to drive than the 2011, which had shorter, more driver-friendly gears. And then they went for this 200 mile an hour top speed, which nobody outside of Ford was ever able to replicate.
Yep.
And the car doesn't have enough brakes or enough tires or enough chassis for that much power. And so they are immensely collectible because a lot of these were just bought and stuck into garages and stuff. And actually seeing a 2012 to 14 GT500 on the street is pretty rare. And yes, it does have a fuckload of power, but they didn't drive good. And I have a lot of seat time in the 2011, and then I have a lot of seat time in the 2012, and the 11 is a much, much better car to drive.
Absolutely true. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
660 horsepower with 285 tires.
Yeah.
Just
that's
think about
not
that.
fucking enough. And then what are the brakes? Four-wheel. It doesn't even 15-inch vented rotors, 6-piston. I don't think that accurately describes the not goodness of the brakes.
It was
not enough. I mean, it was not enough.
It was a very lopsided vehicle.
Yeah, it just wasn't very nice to drive, unfortunately. The GT500 was 550 horsepower with the aluminum V8. Basically the same as it's a little different because it is in the front of the car rather than the back of the car, but the 2011 car was very similar to the Ford GT engine. It was the aluminum 4-cam supercharged 5.4 liter, similar, not exactly the same, but similar to the GT engine. And then they went to this 5.8 liter thing,
which was iron block.
But
kind of like the Terminator engines, which were also really heavy.
Yeah,
but
it just wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, they put all their money on engine.
Yeah.
And the rest of it kind of fell down.
So the 11 was great, man. God, that car was good as shit. It was so fun. That's the car that me and Tom Morningstar got 12 tickets in 6 days driving across.
Because he did
Bull Run in it.
Oh, Bull Run, okay.
Yeah, driving across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Magic,
right? Yeah.
Detailing products.
Yeah, and they designed the livery for us that from the front literally made the car look like a bullseye, which was a terrible idea.
Cop's like, man, I've never hit someone from so far away with radar.
Yeah,
wow.
they're hitting us from miles away with that fucking thing.
Easy.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, the GT350 that showed up in 2016, and then the GT500 with the dual clutch that is still on sale. Not because new generation. Those are both excellent.
Yes,
they came back from it, but they tried for when Carroll Shelby crossed 85. You can stop listening to him. That's what I'm saying. Let him have his fucking 8 wives and his fucking tequila
and his chili.
Yeah, we don't need to be building cars for him anymore.
All right, so my next one is the Chrysler TC by Maserati.
Don't you dare shit on my dream.
I am going to shit all over you, my friend.
I think to call this a moonshot may be a stretch, but go on.
Well, I think it's ambitious, as was the Z06, the C7 Z06. It's like they tried to iterate and they failed.
Yeah.
This was Lee Iacocca convincing someone like, you know what you guys should do? Take the molds we have of the LeBaron, build it in Italy, LeBaron, and then put some nice shit on it. It cost twice as much as a LeBaron, literally. It was $88,000 in today's money.
Yeah.
The engine for 1 year,
$88,000.
For 1 year, it had a Maserati engine, which was a 2.2-liter turbo.
Yeah.
Okay. The next year, Chrysler got rid of that engine, and they gave it a Mitsubishi V6.
Yep.
So
that's the LeBaron I know and love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's loud, and now you have basically no connection. And the interior was covered in leather, and it had a different stereo and all this shit. But the fact was, if you parked it next to a fucking K-car LeBaron, everyone would go, "Oh, we have the same car. Oh, kind of different. What's that?" I mean,
I will say
so
this.
ambitious.
It did improve the styling of the LeBaron. It's a better LeBaron. It is a better LeBaron.
It's a better LeBaron.
It's a better LeBaron.
Concede.
Yeah.
But do you
have a photo of one with the hardtop affixed, with the Maserati Opera window?
The Opera window.
Yeah. Look at that interior, though. Those seats.
The leather is just falling off.
The leather. That seat is not held up to whatever's happened to it.
I think this leather was born in 1952. That's what it looks like. It's very wrinkly. I mean, and the gauges are the same as the LeBaron. They changed the center console.
Oh, wait, I don't think so. I do not think the gauges are the same as the LeBaron. Scroll up. I am intimately familiar with the LeBaron because there's the hard top. Look at that. Oh yeah.
Kind of like, actually, from this angle, it looks a little bit like Cadillac. STS?
No, Alante.
Well, I mean, I know the STS was later, but I'm just saying, proportions-wise.
It's like a LeBaron with a Maserati bi-turbo nose grafted onto it, basically. But find the gauges, because my girlfriend in high school drove a LeBaron. And I'll tell you what, there is no more perfect car for a fucking Ani DeFranco listening punk rock wannabe communist than a white Chrysler LeBaron.
Really funny. Well, but see, I say the same because you have these round gauges in the square.
So here's the thing. There was an optional, I think, in the later LeBarons, a pseudo digital gauge cluster.
Yes.
So that's the one that's the one Jackie, my girlfriend, had.
Because look here. See this? Same thing. And there was an 87 LeBaron that had a totally different gauge cluster. So it was like, this was this crossover.
Oh, I forget what year
was.
I do not remember, but I remember it had the digital cluster. The craziest thing about the LeBaron was the blinkers. So have you ever seen the fucking blinkers on a LeBaron?
I rode in a LeBaron when I was a kid, but I don't remember.
There isn't a blinker stalk. So, so 94, the 94 interior, maybe? No, that's an earlier one. It's the sort of roundier one, I think. The point I'm making is that look at the left one, that one. So the blinkers, open this up.
Let's see if we can get close up here.
The blinkers are on the gauge binnacle.
Oh, right here?
Yeah. So you hit the blinkers up.
Reach up and push them?
The wheel is pretty close, but it's not a stalk. It was a lever, a little lever on the gauge binnacle. It was really strange.
350Z has those couple of buttons you press for mileage and stuff.
Yeah.
That is weird placement.
It was really weird. Maybe I'm making up the digital cluster thing because I could have swore hers had a digital cluster, but maybe I'm making that up. That interior, is there a digital cluster? I could have swore it fucking had one. That one, right there, 90 to 93 Chrysler LeBaron digital instrument cluster. It did have it. I'm not making that up.
So it was an option.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Look at that. That's the cluster I know and love.
Yeah.
Especially because hers looked. When it has that nicotine stain on it. That tint of yellow.
Yeah. With like soot.
Because it was Marlboro Reds. Because of course it was. Because you're a fucking tough girl.
Yeah.
You gotta be real.
Yeah.
Real.
I'm a pirate, but my parents are forcing me to go to this private school.
Tank girls smoke Marlboro Reds. Yeah. So I'm so glad I didn't completely make that up. I definitely adjust memories of high school based on my current life, but not cars. I remember cars.
Yeah, you do.
I do remember cars.
So
yeah.
I just think this one was strange and ambitious.
Oh, totally.
And
it's definitely stupid.
Yeah.
It's definitely stupid.
Yeah, I think it's dumb.
Yeah. There's a guy in Venice with a pair of Chrysler TC Maseratis.
One's
a red
parts
one,
car?
I don't know. One's red and one is that same kind of yellow you just showed. Shout out to Jackie and her LeBaron. Also,
Still driving somewhere.
She had those are two of the worst cars I've ever driven in my life were hers. She then got rid of the LeBaron and got a 1997 4-cylinder manual transmission Jeep Wrangler, which fucking was so slow, poor handling, and generally dangerous to drive at highway speeds. So shitty. So shitty. Even at fucking 17, we drove into the city to see a show, and I drove this Wrangler.
Oh, don't drive on the highway. What are you doing?
The Sawmill Parkway might as well have been Death Race 3000 in that fucking thing. Crazy. My number 3, the Jaguar XJ220.
Oh.
A car that is objectively very good. It's not even a bad car. The problem was going from a V12, taking customers' money for a V12 powered car and then selling them a 6-cylinder powered car.
Terribly sorry.
Terribly sorry about that. That's probably not great. And then putting 220 in the name, which is a reference to a 220 mile an hour top speed that the car could not hit. Also a problem.
This is the new Shelby GT 202.
I mean, and time has actually been quite kind to the XJ220. They're now worth some money. They're now considered, quite collectible. These cars were like $100,000 for a while. I mean, they never went below $100,000, but you could pick one of these up for pretty decent money for a long time. The problem is, of course, getting them serviced. There's like 3 places on the planet that can work on these cars.
Yeah.
But I think they're actually fairly pretty.
It's not a bad looking car.
Yeah.
Especially if you just remember the era. This was the era of round.
Well, and this one we're looking at on the screen has the Walkinshaw wheels on it, the sort of motorsport wheels. If we find other photos of it with those sort of flat wheels, I'm not a big fan of the flat wheels. The one that's got the so that one. I think this is the one that's at Canepa right now that has like 16 miles on it. I don't love this flat wheel design.
This looks like it's trying to be a futuristic car in a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
Yeah. So
somebody wrote a great article on the intercooler. It might have been Steve Sutcliffe, or maybe Frankel, but about test driving Tom Walkinshaw's personal XJ220 and then crashing it that morning.
Shit. Oh, no.
And when they walked back to the PR person, the PR person's like, well, this will go 2 ways. He'll either just be quiet or he's going to lose his mind. And luckily it went the former way. Yeah, but they did a lot of development on this thing. And were they good race cars? Like, did they do well?
I don't really know. I honestly, I don't know. I just think it's a neat bit of history.
Yeah.
But the shooting the moon and failing part is the selling people a V12 car and then delivering them a 6-cylinder car and telling everybody by putting it in the name that it's going to do 220 and then not getting there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that.
It's a big oops.
That's a big fucking... And because it went 217. It's not bad. It's pretty fucking fast. But like, it ain't 220, and that's what you said it would do.
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, if they had just...
Did it go 220 somewhere, then they named it, and they couldn't replicate it?
Nope. That's what they called their shot. Like, I just did a hit.
They bought the shirts.
I just, instead of pointing at the outfield, I just did a Heil, and I apologize for that. When I said called their shot, I didn't. I meant to do a Babe Ruth.
Oh, did you think Hitler was just pointing at something in the distance for a long time?
Well, I didn't. It's a fine line between this and this, and I was 4 fingers away from doing the right thing.
You're like a politician. They tell them not to point. That's why Clinton.
Like when Ann Coulter Heiled and then turned it into a wave.
Well, that's a Freudian slip, probably. Yeah, That's wild.
I think they raced them in something.
They did. I think it would take me a minute to find it. I found some race that Bobby Unser ran it. I don't know.
It's not known.
Racing something.
Not known for being a race car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My fifth one. Yeah, because I did the Tahoe already. Volkswagen Phaeton.
Interesting.
I think it was weird because, Piek at the time was like, I want to make a car that competes with the 7 Series and the S-Class. And someone said, well, we have the Audi A8 and A8L here. And he went, no, I want another one. So they made the Phaeton. And they made it with some Bentley parts. It was like the same chassis, I think, as the Continental or the Flying Spur.
It's very similar.
Oh, it's very similar. It's got the air suspension. It has the W12 if you opt for it. But I think this is a moonshot that missed because who wants to buy a $100,000 VW? Nobody.
Very much nobody.
You get the complicated parts of a Bentley with zero of the prestige.
You ever see a Phaeton with Bentley wheels and a Bentley grill on it?
Yeah.
It looks
it's very
pretty
similar.
Goddamn close.
And it rides and drives really similar, and it was quiet. But to me, it's like if you buy your own jet like Kanye West, but then you wrap it in Spirit Airlines livery, nobody wants to do that.
That would be a boss move. If I ever get to a point where I have a fucking Gulfstream, I'm going to wrap that shit full Frontier. It's gonna be like Ryanair, like garbage. I'm gonna find the garbagest European regional carrier.
I just feel like that's what this is. This was stealth in the weirdest. It's stealth, but it's still expensive. It was still 100 G's back then.
Yeah,
and it's still complicated, and it was limited to a top speed of 130.
Yeah,
which all right, if it's an Autobahn limousine, it's not even keeping up with your competition.
Yeah. So
and it has the power. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, the W12 and the Phaeton did not use the turbos, right? The Bentley version got the turbos. And that platform, I mean, that was the fucking Bentley GT until like 2018. I mean, that platform kept on keeping on for a minute. And the interior, if you look at the interior of the Volkswagen side by side with like a 2003 or 2004 Bentley GT, it is much more similar than it is different. If you look at, no, that's not, is that not it?
The new Phaeton? No.
Go down one, the black one.
This one?
That. So there's the Phaeton interior, and if you pull up a picture of the Bentley GT interior, it is significantly more similar than it is different. 2002, 2003, whatever the first year was. There's a lot of same.
It's got elongated.
Oh, that's my Bentley. Oh, that's a 2002 Arnage. No, the Continental GT. Yeah, the top
prototype.
one. Yeah, that's it. That looks basically the same. It's a lot of similar. Not exactly, but it's a lot of similar.
Yeah, same similar gauges. Yeah, I mean I just don't understand it. And obviously they didn't sell well at all because no one understood it.
Yeah.
And I just think kind of like
this
is the reverse of the TC. This is you took a shit car and you tried to put a fancy badge on it, and then with the Phaeton you took a fancy car and you put a shit badge on it.
This is and other companies have not learned this lesson. Like Hyundai with the Ecus. They tried to sell it $80,000 Hyundai. Nobody wanted that shit.
That's true. And then, was that before they launched Genesis?
Yes.
So they went,
it was when the Genesis was a coupe. It was when Genesis was a model, not a brand.
Right.
And then it was also when Lincoln tried to do their coach door thing. When they did a fucking $100,000 plus version of the Continental that had suicide doors. The car should have had suicide doors in the beginning. But yeah, no one wants an $80,000 Volkswagen. I think that is true. $100,000 Volkswagen.
$100,000.
Yeah. That's a good one. My next car, Ferrari SF90.
Oh.
Yeah. Spicy take. This is the only Ferrari of the modern era to depreciate in the short term.
Holy crap.
Every other Ferrari that has been sold over the last 10 years has appreciated in the short term. I know 2 people that have told me personally that they have taken baths, quote, on the SF90. I don't think a 3,900-pound mid-engine Ferrari is what the customers like. And Ferrari undercut itself with the 296. Yes. That is lighter, more fun to drive.
Better looking.
Arguably prettier, and accelerates just as fast without all of the weight and the all-wheel drive system. It's like 400 pounds lighter. It doesn't have or need the all-wheel drive system, and it doesn't depreciate the way the SF90 does.
I'm trying to find
I think it's a
car
miss.
values, but I mean, I know what you're saying is true. I was just trying to find an actual number. Yeah, they're down, and they also we talked about this when we test drove that white one from a profile. Behind the headlights, it looks so similar to a 488 in my opinion. The intakes and everything are so similar. You get it mixed up with the cheaper car, but then the new cheaper car comes out and it's better looking.
Yeah,
and it's less expensive. So
yeah,
that was a miss.
I think that's a miss, and I think it delivered something that Ferrari enthusiasts aren't really looking for at a very high price point, and driving it was disappointing. I mean, it's the least fun 1,000 horsepower car I've ever driven.
Oh, I haven't driven very many of them, so I thought it was exhilarating, but I haven't driven that many 1,000.
But the 296, I think, drives better.
I agree, totally.
I mean, even just forget the price. The driving back to back, the 296 is more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's mine, and then my last one, spicy take incoming, Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh.
And this is just on what was promised versus what was delivered. They promised a certain amount of range. They promised a certain price point. They promised capabilities. And the product that was delivered, even though a car is delivered, is not the product that was promised at the price, at anywhere near the price that it was promised at.
That's true. What is the range extension you can opt for? Is it a battery that goes in the bed?
It is literally a battery that goes in the bed and takes up like 40% of the bed.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's and also they talked about revolutionizing the pickup truck, and that people who use trucks for trucks things will want to buy this. And granted, it's only been a few months, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is Tesla freaks are going from a Model 3 or a Model S or a Model X to a bigger, heavier, less efficient truck. And people are using them as fashion statements and driving big, heavy fucking steel trucks that are not, it's not moving the truck needle. It's moving people that might otherwise, granted, some of these people might have been driving G-Wagons or Range Rovers into an electric car, but it's a lot of people that already had electric cars, already had more efficient electric cars than this, moving into a heavier, bigger, less efficient electric car.
Yeah, true. I think, I'm excited about that new Ram hybrid, and I think that's the solution. When we drove that F-150 with the power boost, we had the plugs in the back that could run 240, so you could do all of the job stuff people have said you can do with a Cybertruck, but you had unlimited range basically because you had a gasoline engine. Like, that to me makes way more sense.
Yeah, if you people who really need a truck for work, you have to go to where they are. And so I don't think that's it. So, but that's not how it was marketed. So,
of course.
Anyway, that's our list, right? You're out?
That's the list.
There we go. 10 times that car companies shot the moon and missed. Leave your comments in the comments. If you have some other suggestions for examples of that, or if you think we fucking got it all wrong, we want to hear from you. All right, let's go to the Patreon, of course. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Ask us questions for the show. Get an ad-free listing experience. Get early access to certain merch drops. You can even get our car review videos without ads, and you get the episodes before they come out. So some of you have already listened to this episode a week early, probably. Gunnar says, time for a theoretical question. Oh, wait, no, that's from last one. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, let me jump
Let's go down. Hang on.
Wait.
Where were we?
These were leftovers.
Bang for your bucks. Wait, stop there. Okay. Dre in Houston says, have you guys capitulated to any car trends that you knew were silly but peer pressured anyway? For example, both my Porsches have the puddle lights and the crowd loves them and I cringe. Let's see. Have you ever been peer pressured into a car trend that you know was silly but other people liked? I don't think I have. Not in my own car purchasing decisions.
Well, peer pressure is tough because peer pressure means like they convince me to do something. But if I say I don't like this thing, and then 6 colleagues I respect explain why they like it, I might go, oh, okay, good point, which I think is different. I think puddle lights are very dumb.
I do too.
I don't understand it. It's just adding complication to a car, and I already know what car I'm getting into when I get into it. I think it just makes people feel fancy. So no one's going to convince me otherwise.
There are people who keep trying to tell me about why a start button is bad and why electric cars in particular shouldn't have a start button, particularly Johnny. And I don't fucking buy it. I've driven enough electric cars and used them in ways that I want the start button would either turning the car off while being around it, or wanting to keep the car on for some reason while walking away from it. And it's just like, just tell me when to turn the fucking, let me control that function.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a subjective thing. I also prefer the button because I want to know the car is off. Even if it isn't necessary, it makes me feel more comfortable leaving the car.
Jordan Hodis says, for exclusively long highway commuting under 15K, is it Lexus LS or bust? I mean, Lexus LSs are very comfortable cars, but the thing is that they are only sort of fuel efficient.
I think an ES might be better, right?
An ES might have the ride quality and the comfort and be more fuel efficient. You could get like one of those fucking Volkswagen TDIs probably that might return 40 miles a gallon and be pretty refined on the highway. I mean, I'm pro Lexus LS in general. They're lovely cars, but if you're doing long highway commutes and you actually 10, 15K is like, it's not a ton of money. So presumably the cost of gas may matter to you.
Well, I looked up a 2005 LS 430. I went 2005 because 15K. Well, I don't know. Highway is only 23 miles per gallon at best. That is not good.
And it's not great. I mean, it's acceptable for the time.
Yeah, it's also like you can get a fucking Suburban that gets that kind of gas mileage on the highway now.
Right.
So.
If you're talking about a budget commuter car, that's probably.
You could get a newer Camry that would probably ride okay and would get 40 or 35, and that, like you said, that money's going to add up really quick.
Yeah. And by the way, those cars have to run on premium. So
it's the most expensive gas. And it's using a lot of it.
Yeah. They're great cars. They're super well made, but like they were like luxury cars then, and they're still like heavy and V8 and have four gears. So there's only so much you can do with that. Chip says, I picked up a Mark V GTI with 46,000 miles for $4,600. Well, that sounds pretty good. I live in Westchester and commute to New York City and Long Island for work. I'm considering tire setups and debating between all seasons and winter/summers. My main priorities are getting to work in bad weather, followed by noise and comfort. My gut says to do summer-winter, but I'm concerned about road noise. Will Michelin's and Blizzaks be any louder than a traditional all-season?
Yes.
I disagree.
When I had Blizzaks, they were a lot louder.
Really?
Yeah.
When I had them on my Audi, they were like a little louder, but I thought the trade-off was worth it. And I was commuting in the winter.
Completely.
And when I got snow tires on the Safari, I mean, granted, I guess that's an old loud car.
It's kinda loud, yeah.
It was. I thought, well, they got quieter, but that was quieter than like knobby tires. But like, it'll be a little louder. It won't be that bad.
And the payoff of better stopping and turning, I was so shocked and impressed. When I switched from having a Jetta on chains to a Jetta on Blizzaks, I could not believe how good it was.
And it's not just rain and snow. Blizzaks or another good winter tire brand, when it's just really cold, when it's like 20 degrees and the pavement is dry, those tires have the grip of summer tires in the summer.
Because their operating temperature is meant for low temps. Yeah.
I mean, I think the benefits far outweigh the differences in noise, and there's probably tests on like Tire Rack, like there's probably ratings for noise for different tires.
They're great.
So you could probably you could look at a you could call Tire Rack and talk to one of the people and go, here's my car. I want a set of winter tires, but I want ones that are on the quieter side, and they'll help you out, and it will only be marginally different.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Aiden Squires says, is Chrysler a dead brand? The only cars on their website are the 300 and the Pacifica. The former being discontinued, and the latter is not likely for this world. Yeah, they don't have a lot going on, do they? The Pacifica could easily be folded into another FCA property, right?
Yeah.
It could be a Dodge. It was a Dodge once. You know, it was a Caravan once. Their only vehicles? Yeah, look at that. 300 and Pacific. Oof, that is a good point. They are low on product.
And isn't the 300 ending this year?
Yeah.
They announced that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say
they're just reducing overhead.
It's not looking good. Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah, they might roll it into something else.
I would roll that Pacifica into a Dodge Caravan, and
yeah,
because the Pacifica Hybrid has had some real problems, but like regular Pacifica is not a bad product.
I like it a lot.
Yeah,
it's a good van. I think I would just hide the Dodge emblem, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Dodge. Like the Chrysler emblem, I think is like a nice, slim, more elegant thing than Ram with a fucking sheep's head.
Oh, you think
whatever.
it would be Ram? Not
No,
Dodge?
I just think those are their options. They go Dodge or Ram. They go Dodge because Caravan, and they could say this is where the Caravan began and the minivan began, and blah blah blah. So
I think this would be a Dodge before it would be a Ram, but yeah, it's not looking good for Chrysler.
Wow.
I hadn't thought about the fact that they are down to 2, but that's bad.
Well, because their parent company has so many things going on. So,
yeah, looks like it.
Maybe. All right.
What else we got?
Things happen.
Is that it? Oh, no. 777 A1A. 15 years ago, I found the Porsche 914 to be the best bang for the buck car, and that carried for several years. Now it's the Cayman S. There's not a question there. I think maybe, we talked about Cayman S's on last show. Maybe that's a comment for last show.
Oh.
Martin says, would you rather have a 996 GT3 or a last production Lotus Evora for driving experience purposes? The Evora GT will have a better ride.
Yeah, depends on where we're driving.
And it's going to be faster than a 996 GT3.
It's true. The 996 GT3 I drove, and I drove it in Germany, was stiff.
They're really stiff. The ones I've driven here are really stiff. And they're cool. They're collectible, but they are stiff. And 996s feel old.
If we're driving a track or the smoothest canyon in the road, I would go 996. For anything else, I would go Evora. It has a few problems, but not enough.
Mm-hmm. I think the Evora is underrated, especially the 400 and the GT. It's a great car. Haley says, what are the happiest cars you've ever driven? And points out the Honda N600 with the motorcycle engine that I drove. That one's up there. Yeah, that one's up there. The AE86 drift car I drove in New Zealand. That was great.
Yeah.
That was really superb.
That was a great day. The Mazda the Exit set I drove was ridiculous. And part of it's like what's happy versus the experience is exciting, but that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. First time I ever drove a 911 Safari, Lee's car on the rally stage road. That was pretty much up there. Yeah.
What about, is there silly tiny cars like an Isetta?
I mean, the N600 was tiny.
Oh, that was tiny. That's right.
That was really tiny. That one is tough to top. That one's real crazy. That felt like F1 in a little economy car package. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. That's it for our Patreon questions. Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate you. If you're listening to this on the normal air date, I'm sorry we had to take a week off, but scheduling is a bitch. And if you want actual like good radio and not us just trying to fill time, it's the way it had to be. But we'll be back next week with more Smoking Tire Podcast. Thank you all. See you later. Bye.